Let's take a listen into that.
I know that there are anxious parents watching.
What's up, guys? What's up? What's up?
Wanting information. We have the best rescue teams and response teams in the world in emergencies.
The comments made by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick there, who's acting as governor, who we are waiting to hear more from. We were hoping to bring that to you at 7. We will now bring that to you at 9. Yeah. We're not going anywhere.
No, we're going to be here.
We're staying on top of it. We're here with you through this, and we're just keeping our fingers crossed that we can tell you more good news.
Good news.
Unfortunately, I don't know. They expect the death toll to rise. It is currently at 13.
We'll see how things play out. The governor, lieutenant governor there mentioning they do have the best of the best. We can tell you that between 400 to 500 right now, boots are on the ground, and that's going to be rescue crews. That's going to be search and rescue teams, not just from the state level, but you're talking federal. You've got folks here from all over. And as we've said before, anytime we see devastation like this, it's not just that one community that's impacted. It's all of us. It may be an hour to 2 hours away, but they are our neighbors. And because of that, we are offering help and assistance, and that's why you see so many different agencies descending there in that area that's been impacted, because they're working round the clock to save as many people as they can.
They started to put a plan together, they said earlier today. The director of DPS was talking about it, and his name is Freeman Martin, and he was saying, we knew this was going to happen. Yeah. We just didn't know what specific area it was going to be. So we'd gotten everyone together. We'd notified everyone. We just had to wait and see.
West of Kerrville, but Camp Mystic is beyond that. It's actually south of Hunt and right on the lake. So it's in kind of one of those remote locations where the water absolutely trapped people in there, and the water overtook the road, so emergency services couldn't really get to them either. So that's why we keep mentioning Camp Mystic, because there was whole camp out there that could not evacuate, and 23 right now, the latest number that we have, 23 girls still unaccounted for. We're hoping to get a new number at 9 o'clock when
9 o'clock. So that's
Governor,
10 o'clock.
I believe it's Lieutenant Governor Patrick will give another briefing along with Kerr County officials.
Just got pushed back. I would have waited to go live, but.
My name is Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor, acting governor. The governor's out of state today on a day which is usually for celebration. It's a very tough day in Texas. We had a disastrous flash flood that hit somewhere around 4 in the morning. The rain came down 12 inches or more per hour. Within 45 minutes, the Guadalupe River, and many people watching or listening know that they have, maybe in the past, when they were younger, or taking their kids or grandkids down, you've tubed down the Guadalupe. That river rose 26 feet in 45 minutes. It was a dry bed. It had been dry. There wasn't a lot to absorb it. It went down the rocks, and it was a destructive flood, taking property and, sadly, lives. I know that there are anxious parents watching, wanting information. We have the best rescue teams and response teams in the world in emergencies. Currently, we have 14 helicopters in the air. I've been receiving calls on my personal cell from people who know someone or have someone that was in one of these summer camps. We do not need anyone showing up with a drone. We do not need any more personal helicopters. I know it's been offered.
They're showing this thing from earlier, so I guess I got pushed back.
Physically with vehicles entered Camp Mystic, according to this Facebook page, to start beginning to bring some of those campers out. So we would anticipate the same way that we saw some of those campers landing in the choppers, we in short order should see them arriving to the reunification center that was going to be there at Ingram Elementary School, and others possibly still being brought in by plane at Ingram High School, roughly 5 minutes down the way.
But very glad to see that, and I was really curious about when that was posted, because it would make sense that it had just happened, because we're starting to see all of these things kind of start to happen. gosh, it's great to see, and a relief for those kids who've experienced this traumatic situation. I believe this is video from earlier today, but it shows how wide-ranging this flood was. We're driving and it's just flood.
It looks like a lake when
Yeah.
in reality it's a river, and it's a rushing river. And to give you the perspective of just how devastating it was, we've seen our reporters on the ground that showed us these homes that once stood on this foundation that were no longer there, picked up, either wiped off completely from the slab or taken roughly 100 to 200 yards down the way. But then also to give perspective, you could see the debris line against the fence that wasn't there at the homes directly near the banks of the rivers of the Guadalupe there in Kerrville, but across the street. You're talking, I don't know, an eighth of a mile, a quarter of a mile up the way. You can see just how high that water had gotten. You saw awnings down, you saw debris just scattered all over the place, but it really, that along with the water lines inside some of these homes.
It's crazy. And I've seen this too. Katarina tagged me in this. There's these firefighters were injured after fireworks accidentally detonated a 3-mile mountain in Nevada. Let's take a look at that real quick here. Whoa. Firefighters injured. Okay. So yeah, the girls are still missing. According to these people, they're still missing.
Irreparable damage.
Sure.
They're still okay.
Yeah.
And we've seen, especially where Joe was earlier in that neighborhood, and that was an example of homes. One home was completely gone. Another one had been picked up and moved, and a lot of, there was a car that had just had something smash on top of it. One of the homeowners spoke and said, I woke up to flashing lights. It was electricity poles being pulled out of the ground, and everything was just flashing. I tried to go to my car, but my car was already under too deep of water, so I went on foot to get to higher ground, and he was back at his house. He said, well, my house hasn't moved. It didn't move off the foundation, but he took us for a little tour inside, and there was just inches and inches of mud, and stuff was pushed around everywhere, debris all inside. We've seen buildings, facilities, homes with the windows smashed out and siding completely ripped off. And this is where we need donations, and the biggest need that they're asking for right now is kids' clothing. This is in Kerrville. If you have donations that you can take, then drop it off at the Cross Kingdom Church. It's off Junction Highway and Riverview Road. Again, the biggest need is kids' clothing, and a lot of these situations, they need underwear and they need socks.
As is the case with any devastation, the community comes together, and that's what we're seeing a lot of right now. The need right now is going to be for kids' clothing. Of course, that's going to go with toiletries, anything that you would need, let's say in a situation of a hurricane, in a tornado. These families who started last night with everything may have lost everything just in a matter of a couple of hours and in a matter of overnight while they were asleep. As was the case with those that are still grateful to be alive, they're going to need a lot of help. And the good news is our community is there to help them. That right there is a look at just some of the places that you can make donations to. We also know that the Red Cross is assisting these families. One of the other things that we wanted to pass along, very important as well, is a telephone number for those who perhaps still have loved ones who are missing. Again, the Red Cross is assisting along with all the emergencies and first responders. That number is going to be 1-800-733-2767. Again, 800-733-2767. That is going to be for folks out there who still have loved ones who are missing or unaccounted for. We're being told for you to call that number. Perhaps they can connect you with your loved ones. One of the things that we had mentioned earlier, this idea of perhaps that they're in good shape but just can't reach out to you. But there's a number there, 1-800-733-2767. They may be in good shape but just simply can't get to you because their phone is died, because their power is out. You never know, but that's going to be the number. Once you can contact them, hopefully they'll put you in connection with them. We do know that roughly 2,800 people are without power there, which is why folks are being told either shelter in place if you can safely do so. But if you can't and you need power, or perhaps you've got the elderly or you've got small children.
10 Eastern, 9 Central if you're in Texas. Maybe I'll make a little note of it. Let me put it on top of the screen. I was just like relaxing and chilling. Now it's dark outside. I'm hearing some fireworks. But right as I was sitting at the computer listening to a little bit what they were saying live, and I hit go live, I literally heard them saying, "Oh, it got pushed back." I'm like, "Oh man." 10 p.m. So in about an hour and 15 minutes.
Or rescue other people. There may still be debris in their way blocking them, in this case, from being able to go repair some of those down power lines, which is why we had talked about the idea of up against the clock of sunset is such a big deal, because once the sun does go down,
More
it makes
flooding. Yeah, I
things
think
that
there's
much
more rains coming
dangerous
tonight.
if perhaps you do have down
More rain
lines
tonight.
that may still be live. Even if it wasn't sunset, we would tell you don't go near power lines.
Right,
But
ever.
if you come across one that's in, pitch black, it's going to make for a very, very dangerous situation.
So just don't do it. The lieutenant governor, the last time we heard from him, and it was around 3:30, said that his team and he were headed to Kerrville to set up an emergency center. They'd been in touch with the folks in Kerr County and in Kerrville as well, who we also heard from. He said he had multiple calls from the White House. The White House was aware of this devastating situation. The president was aware and offered anything, any kind of help that is needed, offered to provide that type of assistance. The lieutenant governor says some of the victims in this, the 13 confirmed dead, were in cars. Some of them were not in vehicles. Some were adults, some were children. Don't know specifics on any of those individuals. At that point, they did not know. That may be things that might have developed through the last couple of hours. But we're hoping to learn more shortly. And we're also hoping to be able to bring you new details as things do start to come into the newsroom. We've got our crews out there, and I see you looking at your email, so I'm not sure if you've got something.
No, we're just browsing through the emails right now, also getting a sense of some of the interviews that we've conducted out there. It really gives us a sense of eyes and ears out of the community. Visually, we've seen homes wiped off their slabs. The homes that we've taken tours of in the inside, you get the sense of how high the water was in there, above your waist. And then, as we talked about, some of these relatives and family members out there, thankful that they're alive, knowing that they have to rebuild, but saying prayers for others who are unaccounted for right now. We had heard stories of one such family in which we were told 3 of them had been swept away. 1 of them was found. They were taken to a hospital. They are recovering. Unfortunately, though, some of those other relatives are still missing. And sadly, that's going to be a similar story that we're hearing from a lot of families right now. So it's definitely a tough and tragic situation that we're seeing unfold. And, this started, mind you, at 3:30 in the morning. So a lot of hours yet that we've been dealing with this. But if there is any sense of hope and a sense of some relief for at least some parents out there and some families, it's the images that we had shared earlier of those choppers landing with some of those campers being rescued and brought back to their families.
And we know it's 7:45. The sun is setting too soon, it seems like, far too soon. Just a hard day for us. We've had this shot over Kerrville where you can see how wide it is, how wide the flood zone there is, and you can also see on the radar. The concern here is that a lot of this water is still moving toward places like Spring Branch and ultimately to Canyon Lake. And another thing that you may be worried about was just something that the Lieutenant Governor addressed earlier. Is Canyon Lake going to be okay? Are we going to flood? Is it going to be a problem? The Lieutenant Governor has said, no, I checked with the Army Corps of Engineers. That was what I asked them. He asked the Army Corps of Engineers if there was any risk to Canyon Lake. Is this going to break the dam? Do we need to worry? The Army Corps of Engineers said, no, you do not need to worry. And I know we were referencing those photos from the game warden earlier. I think Emma Allen has them over at the live desk.
Yes, back at the live desk, some new images like you were just talking about coming in from the Texas game wardens. These images posted on their social media account. They say Texas game wardens have made entry into Camp Mystic with vehicles and are beginning to bring campers out. You can see some of those images showing that just now. There's a lot of people in that area if you look closely. Now, we have been telling you about those missing campers, showing you their images, calling parents to see if there are any updates on their children. We can only hope that number of missing girls drops after this. As you can see, they're loading people up in the back of trucks. And Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said in a press conference earlier around 20 girls were unaccounted for. I think it's 23 at Camp Mystic. That is the latest from the live desk, and hopefully we have some positive news here in the next few minutes after these images surfaced.
Emma, thanks a lot for that. In fact, this is some more good news right here. What you're looking at is going to be video, as we understand it, of some of the girls who were recovered from the campsite being brought there to the reunification centers. As we take a look here, that's an image that you want to see right there.
We've been watching these school buses pull into this area, and we were pretty sure that that's probably what it was because we saw helicopters dropping off campers and watched them getting off of the helicopters, kind of directed around by adults, and some of them were running. But look at the crowd of people you see there. They're either people who are seeking refuge or people who are waiting to find their loved ones. And you know, I'm hoping that there have been some wonderful reunions after these buses have dropped off these campers.
We had talked earlier, the Lieutenant Governor had mentioned he's sure that there are a lot of anxious parents out there waiting to see their loved ones, waiting to embrace them once more. We had seen some of the images of those choppers landing and bringing some of those campers, but those right there are some of the first images that we're seeing of some of those campers arriving by way of bus, being reunited with their loved ones, and that, of course, is what we want to see. We do know, as mentioned, there's 750 kids that go to that camp, Camp Mystic in particular, of which sadly 23 are still unaccounted for. But as we see these reunifications or these reunions, it does bring some sense of relief for folks out there right now.
Absolutely. It's the only good thing that we've been able to report today, is that we're seeing now some of these girls being rescued from the camp, which the camp said, we're not okay. We have no infrastructure at this point. Everything has been destroyed. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no water, there's no electricity. Parts of it just, yeah, it's not good. The news isn't good, but it is good.
Hey, what's up? I'm back, guys. I stepped out for a few minutes because there was fireworks going on, and I wanted Maddie to catch some. They're just getting started out there, though. Everybody's just getting started, so I was kind of checking out. My neighbors are doing stuff. This right here, I wonder if this is one of the stations that I set up. And by the way, I hope you guys are safe today. Take it easy. Have fun, you know. We also have the whole weekend. Some people, like it's the last day to live today, you know what I'm saying? I believe this is live. The newscast says it's live. You got to remember they're an hour behind in Texas. Right now, for me, it's pitch black outside. It's dark out now, you know, but it's 8:50. Over there, it's 7:50. Over here, it starts getting dark like at 8 and change. I don't know, 8:30 almost sometimes. 8, 10, 15. So, what is this thing? What is that? That's so weird. What is that? So yeah, we got about an hour left or so to, you know, for the press conference because it got pushed back. As far as they're saying, these kids are still missing. The 20-something.
This kind of flood was coming.
Camp Mystic, an all-girls Christian camp, said they had reached out directly to all parents of kids who were unaccounted for, but there was no confirmed number as of deadline. The Guadalupe River is 321. The Guadalupe River is still dangerously high. The National Weather Service sending out a flash flood emergency, warning people in the area not to travel while the danger remains. However, the area remains very busy. Reporting in Kerr County, I'm Adele Uchida.
Right. All right, thanks so much. And yeah, Chief Meteorologist Chris Suchan, we are keeping our eye on some of the parts of our area, specifically Spring Branch and Canyon Lake.
Yeah, we're not done with the flooding hazard here, to be sure. The worst of it probably was the early part of the day. That's because you had the surprise factor, right? You had some people sleeping, you had campers, you know, summer camp, and then you had this massive push of water in a very short amount of time. I mean, to give you one example, we've had the Guadalupe rising 5 to 6 feet every 15 minutes. And so that's just one example of it here, but that's the power and how fast it happens. Now what we have is a news cycle where everyone is caught up. Hopefully most are caught up, especially if they're along the Guadalupe River, and they have done the necessary precautions. They have sought higher ground to get out of the way of the surge that's coming down. And so what we have now is sunset ahead. So then that presents a hazard again, because if we still have people that are unaccounted for and search and rescue is underway, now you have darkness. That's at 8:38, that's sunset.
Yep.
So this right here behind me, there you see clearly this is the Guadalupe River. This is up in Kerrville from Bud Holdsworth Memorial Library. You can see the tree damage we have here, some of the debris caught up, in spots, and that's all the way down the river. I mean, when I watched this flood wave move down into Comfort on video, it was about a 2 to 4 foot wall of water coming down, and it was just loaded with debris. Tremendous amount of debris coming down, and so that's all working its way down into Spring Branch right now. So the river levels, you see in Kerrville, it's over 6,500 cubic feet per second. This is how we measure river flow. You also will see occasionally gauge heights, but this is the river flow in cubic feet per second. Comfort's sort of hovering around 50,000. Bergheim sensor is not putting out data, so that might be a result of floodwaters crippled the sensor. Spring Branch just went up to 20.3, so from here on out, every hour the increase.
All right, Guadalupe. This is here. This looks like the reunification area, I'm assuming. This is in live aftermath, Kerrville, Texas. Windy. Crazy. So we're waiting to see, man. Waiting to see for the press conference. Waiting to see for official updates. They pushed it back. They're waiting for more information. Last I heard, according to this news piece, there's still 20-something missing or unaccounted for, as they're saying.
Yeah, imagine just spilling a big pitcher of water, and you happen to be in the way, and you're about this tall on the table. That water just comes in and it just starts coming up. It's like storm surge that we see along the coast with hurricanes. They don't come in as a tidal wave type of thing. The water just comes in and keeps rising and keeps rising. That's what this is like. It keeps rising and keeps rising, and it's moving really fast at the same time. So it's the movement and it's the depth that really gives it a lot of energy, enough to pull away a car, enough to pull away a house, or even uproot a very large tree and drag it downstream.
All right, Alex, thank you for that. We're continuing to get more information on the camp director that died from the devastating floods as well. They posted on Facebook, and the Kerrville Daily Times is also reporting that Heart O' the Hills camp in Hunt, the camp director there, died because of Friday's flash floods. And so that part of the 13 that you see on the bottom of your screen there.
Jane Ragsdale.
Yep, Jane Ragsdale, her name. We're working on getting sound from one of the people that knew, or someone who knew her.
Right.
I believe it's actually Joy Bergen, our Joy Bergen's stepmother or mother-in-law, one of the two that is going to be. Here we go. Here's the Facebook post right here. You can see from Heart O' Hills saying that there's been a catastrophic flooding in the area overnight, and we remain under flood watch until at least 5 p.m. today. Thankfully, camp was not in session, but most of those who were on camp at the time had been accounted for and are on high ground. However, we've received word that Jane Ragsdale did not make it, mourning the loss of a woman who influenced countless lives and was the definition of strong and powerful. Rescue efforts are ongoing throughout the county as many people have been impacted by this devastation. We know all of you want to help, but roads are not open, and an official report of the camp destruction is not available. We'll update as we have news to share. Please continue to pray for Kerr County and surrounding areas as there have been multiple fatalities and still many missing. So that was from a couple of hours ago, but it brings to light the devastation that at least 13 families are dealing with now, and 23 more dealing with because their loved ones are still unaccounted for, and then dozens, hundreds more along the Guadalupe River is just their lives uprooted and turned upside down, Ashley.
Yeah, and you know, as we're here on the desk, we of course are looking online, trying to get in contact with some of these people and learn more about the missing girls. And we're going to try and get some more photos for you. But I just spoke with a friend up in Dallas. I used to work in Dallas, and so a friend who I worked with at a station up there letting me know that their neighbors from Dallas actually drove down over here to the area because they are missing 2 little girls from Camp Mystic. Eloise and Lila, both probably around 9 years old, looking at the photo that they sent me, and we're gonna get that for you here in just a little bit, but they were staying at Camp Mystic from Dallas. Family is now in town. They are frantic, they are scared, and they're just hoping that their daughters can be found. And so we'll get that information for you on air, online, as quickly as possible. That way we can get those pictures out there.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Yeah, we also have new sound here from someone whose life was turned upside down today. Our Destiny Fuller got an interview with someone on the ground in Kerrville, and so let's listen to that right now.
When I woke up, the water was already 2 feet into my RV, and I grabbed my dog and my wallet, and I tried to get outside, and the water was flooded. The truck had me pinned, so I got out, and then I just hear screaming, family screaming, and kids, and I couldn't help. I just couldn't help.
How were you able to get out?
I worked my way towards the wall, and the trailer was coming, and somebody grabbed my arm and pulled me out of the water last night. And then I tried to go help, but by then it was too late. Everybody was down the river. So.
And I know you lost your
Everything.
trailer, your truck.
Yeah, Walmart, thank you. They gave me some shoes this morning. Yeah, we lost everything. A lot of people.
Legendary, what's up?
Has this ever happened in this area before?
We had a flood like last year maybe, but it wasn't nothing to this extreme. So this is devastating.
So what's going to be next for you? Trying to figure
trying
out.
to find a place to live, trying to get clothes. I don't know. Trying to get my life built back together, I guess. Nobody expected this. That's what's sad about it. A lot of people lost their lives today.
And have you heard of anybody that you know, or anybody that you might have shared?
There was a
with?
buddy here that passed away. I guess a guy that worked here. I'm not sure of the info, but we do have casualties. So it's a sad day in Kerrville. Sad day.
Thank you for talking to us. Yep.
I mean, he said it, devastation that they've dealt with all day long up in Kerrville. People, the man you just heard from lost everything, and people he knows are dead because of the flooding that happened this morning. I mean, it's something that I don't think anybody would wish upon even their worst enemy happening this morning. And some people that are just dealing with this are going to have to pick up their entire lives and restart almost. And it's tragic. It's tragic to hear. It's tragic to see, and we're going to keep bringing you more firsthand accounts of that. We're working on turning around more interviews. Our crews have been out there all day, so you can hear from some of the people whose lives have been turned absolutely upside down because of these dangerous floods.
Again, 23 campers still unaccounted for. We've received several of their pictures. We just waiting for confirmation on some of them to be able to post online and on air. And it's just tragic. And so we're gonna try and bring up one of them. Here we go. Okay, so you're looking at some photos right here,
still,
and
yeah,
I'm
those
gonna
from earlier.
read off the names for you. Ella Cahill, Aiden Hartfield, Joyce Baden, Reese Menchaca. These are 4 people that are still missing right now, and it's just heartbreaking. It's devastating. But these are pictures that we were able to obtain from family, friends, and we want to put out there just in case you run across anybody that needs help, or if you're in a safe spot that you can look out for them. But we're wanting to share this as family, of course, is just frantically looking and hoping for answers. We are waiting for the 9 o'clock hour to be able to get updates from authorities. Right now, we're still waiting. And, right now, their first priority, which they've told us several times, is getting people rescued. And so they're going to be slow putting out the information. That's what they told us earlier for us to expect. Just, information will come as it's available. But right now, they're, on the ground running.
So latest information we have right now, obviously 13 still dead, 23 unaccounted for. Texas game wardens have arrived at Camp Mystic. This is the latest update that we have with evacuations after flooding took over the area. The wardens, part of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, were seen with a line of trucks coming into the driveway. Photos from their Facebook page show. So Emma Allen at the live desk is going to take you through that here in just a second. We also saw some helicopters arriving from Camp Mystic with about 38 girls on it. Let's get over to Emma Allen at the live desk for the latest update on these tragic floodings.
Images coming in from Texas game wardens. We want to show you these now. These images posted on their social media account. They say that they were able to make entry into Camp Mystic. We've been showing you those missing girls from there that we've been sent images of. They were able to make entry with vehicles, and you can see a lot of people in the background there now, possibly waiting to see, what the case is for their children. We have been telling you about those missing campers, showing you their images, calling parents to see if we can get any updates. I spoke to a father earlier who says that his thoughts and prayers are with the first responders in the area, and as well as any other girls that may be missing. We know we hope that this number drops after we've seen these images of game wardens rescuing these girls. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said in a press conference earlier about 20 girls, 23 I think he said were unaccounted for at Camp Mystic. So hopefully that number drops as these new images are starting to come out. Guys, back to you.
Thank you. And we're going to go now to Kerr County, where officials spoke earlier, get more information from that press conference, kind of rehashing what we know so far.
All right. It's Friday, July 4th. This is the 3 p.m. briefing from Kerr County Emergency Management. Thank you all for being here. My name is Clint Morris, and I'm the Public Information Officer with Kerr County Sheriff's Office. We will have some local and state partners today speaking about this response and all that's going on. We understand the public has many questions about what has happened, about evacuations, about the number of casualties, and other information. At this point, it is simply too early to confirm all of these details accurately. This is an active, evolving emergency, and our teams are working around the clock to rescue survivors, reunite families, and collect reliable information. We know this uncertainty is incredibly hard, and we want everybody to know that every resource available is being directed towards search and recovery. This is a very wide response throughout all of Kerr County.
I'm sure many of them want to.
As soon as we can confirm details, we will deliver them to you with transparency. We also want to be upfront that due to the rapidly changing nature of this situation, we will not be taking questions at the conclusion of this briefing.
Is this now,
we are
or is
committed
this
to keeping
early?
you informed, and we will provide the media with a time and location for the next scheduled press conference as soon as we're confirmed. At this time, I would like to invite Kerr County Sheriff Larry Letha for an update.
Okay.
Yeah, those of y'all. I'm the sheriff, Kerr County Sheriff Larry Letha. Want to tell you, appreciate y'all coming down here to cover this stuff. What I want you to know, we're not here to hide anything from the media. We'll keep y'all updated as much as we can, as fast as we can. But y'all got to understand, right now, the only concern we have is rescuing everybody and all these kids out here. What I can say, there's still several people unaccounted for right now at this point, but we're working really hard and we're going to continue. This is probably going to be a couple of day process, okay? We don't know when it's going to stop raining, how much more, hopefully not much more. What I can tell you at this time, currently, we have identified 13 fatalities.
That was 3 p.m. Okay, that was earlier.
We have located 13. That's at this time. I think there'll be more.
Okay, so let me show you, because we're waiting for the actual press conference. Let's take a look at this one here. I also have some videos I wanted to show too from TikTok.
Now is somewhere that you probably should evacuate if you live on the water, especially. This road is Whispering Water Drive. It's Whispering Water Drive in Spring Branch, Texas. Now, we haven't seen this water come up much just yet, which again leads us to the conclusion that this is going to happen pretty fast. This is going to be something that as the floodwaters start to rise, you should already be gone, but if you're not, you need to get out then. This man thankfully let us in his backyard, but he said when we pulled up, he saw our truck, our KSAT truck, and he was like, it's my time to evacuate. Now he's getting his things and leaving. He did say several of his neighbors said that they are staying in the area. So if you're one of those neighbors, this is to you. Please evacuate as soon as possible because this water is not going to be this low for much longer. We are expecting those waters to rise. And while we don't want to scare you, we do want to keep you safe. So we will continue to monitor this area that's in Spring Branch. Again, we are off to the side. We're in a safe place. Of course, once these waters start to rise too high, we will leave this area and we hope that you will leave with us. This is Whispering Water Drive over in the Spring Branch area just off of 281. Live in Spring Branch, I'm Zaria Oates.
Okay, thank you to you, Zaria. Yeah, please get out of the way. And to all of our reporters, we just want to thank everybody for doing trying to keep us as informed as possible today because, it is pretty tricky. Not only has internet service been down in a lot of areas, officials we had Kerr County was supposed to have an update at 7:30. That has been canceled, so we have to wait another hour to get an update from state leaders, and that should happen from Austin. But now we want to show you some images that we have of a woman being airlifted in the Kerrville area earlier today. My producer told me that we would have that video ready if we can go to that right now. Okay, there you have it. A viewer sent us this video. We don't know exactly at what time this video was taken, but obviously not this afternoon, probably before that, because you see that it's raining
Yeah, the
heavily.
rain's still coming down.
Yeah, the rain's coming down pretty hard, and you see a woman right there. You see her. Yeah. She was rescued, being pulled up into the helicopter, and obviously we don't have a closer look at the helicopter right now, so we don't know exactly which, where, if that's a military helicopter or anything like that. But regardless, you can be sure that that woman was relieved that they came together. But you could see that they pulled her right now from that tree that was right there uprooted.
Somebody put this together here too. This is like pictures of the different people that are missing. I haven't heard of any of these people being found yet. Crazy.
There's a difference between people being unaccounted for and missing. When an official tells you that a number of people are missing, that means that they know for sure those people are missing. But the problem is unaccounted for is something completely different. It just means maybe they haven't been, maybe a family member called in and told them that they haven't been able to get in touch with their loved one. And so officials are trying to look for them at the moment. But it's just, everything's in flux right now.
Yeah,
and so hopefully
absolutely.
at 9 o'clock, we should get more information. What's interesting is also that hours ago, we were in the situation where people downstream in the Guadalupe River, like where Zaria Oates was joining us from right now, were watching what was happening, in Kerrville, right? As the waters in Kerrville right now start to recede, we're hoping that we should have more information on rescues and people who have been found. But now the danger is going to be happening downstream. So we're not out of the woods just yet.
Yeah, we hope that all this information that we're bringing to people is hopefully getting the word out about that continued threat. We're going to take a quick break, and we will continue our wall-to-wall coverage right after this.
Okay. Oof.
And
Where's
that is what the people in Ingram and in Kerrville are dealing with out there. Just devastating floodwaters that carried out their RVs, carried away their homes, carried away their cars, carried away their children. We have 23 unaccounted for so far from Camp Mystic. We have shown you the people of Camp Mystic, and we heard from Lieutenant Governor a little earlier that 750 campers were at Camp Mystic. And we've seen 38 of them at least rescued so far. The Texas game wardens have said that they have made entry to that. You can see some of those helicopters right there. We have some of that footage turned around. Those are the campers running off the helicopter there. Those are the ones that were trapped at Camp Mystic. Those are not the 23 that were unaccounted for. So these are accounted for campers that were rescued from Camp Mystic that they were trapped in because of the rampant flood waters. It's great to see that the rescue missions that the Texas Emergency Management Agency, that FEMA is doing. We've heard and seen from Secretary Kristi Noem that says that the Homeland Security is working with the Coast Guard and FEMA resources to get those out here to Texas. We've heard from Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who is the acting governor. Now we hear right here, this is from Secretary Kristi Noem. Says she's been working throughout the day with Kerr County leaders, who we'll hear from hopefully here in about 45 minutes. State Emergency Management and Greg Abbott to get every resource possible to those affected by the flooding. She says she's activated the U.S. Coast Guard and FEMA resources to help those affected and bring Americans in crisis to safety. Now, guys, can we pull up the reunification centers here? I just want to give one more update to everybody about where you can find, if you're missing somebody, or if you're somebody else that you know is missing somebody. These are the reunification centers up in the Texas Hill Country. The first one at Walmart, 1216 Junction Highway in Kerrville, Texas. That's one of the first reunification centers. The number for the Red Cross is 1-800-733-2767. Again, that is 1-800-733-2767. That is the number to call if you are in need of assistance. And let's go to the next reunification center here. This is Ingram Elementary School, 125 Brave Run West in Ingram, Texas. This is not the same location that all the students from and all the campers from Camp Mystic have been dropped off at. That was at Ingram High School. I apologize for saying that a little earlier. I got
All right,
my
welcome
places
back
confused.
here as we
But,
continue
Ingram
to
Elementary
cover
School,
this catastrophic
125
flooding event
Brave
in
Run West is
Kerrville.
one of the reunification centers.
We're about 45 minutes away from the next scheduled briefing. This one happening at the state level. We're expecting to hear from Governor Greg Abbott about 9 o'clock tonight. It was roughly 3:30 when we last heard from either local or state officials. So, of course, if that happens at that time, we'll bring it to you whenever it does happen. But throughout the day, we've obviously had crews spread out across the Kerrville area, Ingram, Comfort area, Spring Branch, you name it, covering this. And we're just bringing you here some of the most impactful images of just the power of this water and this flood throughout the Hill Country.
No matter how many different images we show you, they're just all powerful, because if you were in the middle of this, if you were nearby when this was happening, I can't imagine what that sounded like. And you know that when you see those waters rising, I mean, you're just trying to rush off to safety. Obviously, as we show you those images, you saw a moment ago cars rushing past those bridges there. But you have to think that throughout the day, we have been on talking to you since 5 a.m. I have to wonder how exhausted people are, especially those who right now have been waiting for hours and hours to be rescued. Obviously, we don't have those numbers just yet. We do know that the last time we heard from state leaders, there was something like 400 to 500 first responders there at the scene, but they were really focused on Kerrville at that time. I don't know if they are adding more first responders to help people, to pull people from the water. But we know that a lot of the damage is just.
Let's take a look at some of the videos too on TikTok while we wait for the press conference. Oh, we saw that first. Greg Abbott is going to be speaking in about 40 minutes.
Heavy rain caused devastating floods that swept away homes and cars in parts of central Texas on July 4th. More than a foot of rain fell in some areas before sunrise. The National Weather Service declared flash flood emergencies in San Angelo and Kerr County. Water rescues were happening all along the Guadalupe River. Officials said the river went from 7 feet to over 29 feet between midnight and 4 a.m. That's the second highest height on record for that river. The Kerr County Sheriff confirmed multiple deaths, but did not release further details.
This is the house everybody was talking about. Oh, it's Daily Mail posted it. Yeah, somebody was saying if this is real. The river rapidly rose by more than 22 feet overnight. Damn, truck.
Oh, crap. Oh, shit. Damn, RT to 203.
That's wild. Should cut the power off, right? The house is all that water in the house. Oh.
I want the 107 bridge.
Person driving through that? Better get yourself a truck.
Oh my god! And Thai fuck did all that come from?
What?
Everything is ruined. Everything. Everything.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it says over half of these clips aren't even from Guadalupe River. License plates on the cars definitely are in Texas. But yeah, I was like, what the hell is this? Yo, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. This one channel. What's this channel? Mr. Dunks. Okay. Let's see News Nation. Hey B, how you doing? Care for a story. Try to mess with them. Story fool. I can't with TikTok, yo. I can't with TikTok. Oh my gosh. And they added all the screaming sound effects behind in the background too. Wow. Let's see if we have the
update on some of the latest numbers and hopefully a lot more rescues, successful rescues that have taken place.
Most likely now at this point made his way to Kerrville, and perhaps that's the reason why the news conference was delayed, because he still had to get there and there were so many road closures. We don't know why it was delayed. It was supposed to happen at 7, but instead it'll be happening in about a half an hour. So we're waiting for that. We're waiting to learn more. And hopefully they have some updated numbers for us as far as the number of rescues, power outages, when power is going to be returned, what to expect in some of these communities, how many crews are out there, how many people have been rescued, and what's the situation with the camps and the campgrounds.
All right, we do want to get over to Emma Allen, who's standing by at the live desk with the very latest. Emma?
We continue to follow those images coming in from the girls at Camp Mystic. We do know that there is another image of a girl that is believed to be missing. This one here is Mary Grace Baker. We are told she is one of the 23 missing from Camp Mystic. Reports coming in that she was in cabin twins. We've seen a few other girls that were in that same cabin as well. And as the hours go by, we continue to receive more pictures just like this one. We're also told Lenny McCrown is another one of those campers that is still missing at this time. We have not gotten confirmed what cabin she was in, but we do know game wardens have made entry into that camp now. Hopefully, you know, these two are one of the many that are rescued at this time. And also, you guys were just talking about Governor Greg Abbott. He did just post on social media minutes ago a picture of what looked to be getting set up for a press conference. And he said he is in Kerrville and he is there to provide an update on Texas's ongoing response to severe flooding impacting the Hill Country. So hopefully we'll have more details on that coming up here soon. Jonathan, Mandy.
All right, Emma, thanks a lot for that. We are trying to reset and get an.
By the way, they say Alligator Alley is flooding. Floods. Water's rising in Alligator Alley. Or Alligator, what do they call it? Alligator Alcatraz. Greg Abbott, let me take a look here. He did make a post for those of you that just joined or you joined a little bit later. They're starting the press conference a little bit later today. So we're waiting. It's about 30 to 35 minutes till it starts. I guess he posted a page here. Stream on his page. So we're just hanging out waiting. We're looking over the videos and stuff to see if we can get some information about the situation with these missing kids.
Sometimes there's a stopping point where the debris just starts to collect and it looks like an impound lot. And I know where Destiny was earlier at
Ingram.
In Ingram. I can't remember the name of the campground where she was. Oh, here it is, the Blue Oak RV Park. That's where she was. That was kind of what spots of it looked like, but it's like that where Joe is too, and you just see trees. There's a house that is just gone.
One of the things to keep in mind, like looking at those images right there, these aren't small trees that we're talking about either.
No.
These aren't twigs, these aren't shrubs. These are trees that in some cases could be decades and decades old, and you try to wonder, when you got trees in some instances the size of cars, if not larger, coming down the waterway with rushing water, it puts it into perspective. You essentially have like a boat coming at you. And then you ask the question, how did this tree come down? Well, you had the rushing water moving as quickly as it was, in the ground being as saturated as it was. The roots aren't going to be able to hold on. When you got that much water and the wall of water coming, it's going to pick up those trees, even though they may have been there for 40, 50, whoever knows how many long years, and it just gets taken away. And at that point, it's a flying obstacle in the water that's coming out at whatever's in its path. And whether that means it runs into a home, that's devastation, it's destruction, and it's going to take out anything in its path. We had seen video, we saw video earlier of cars also going down the waterway there. So it just gives you a sense of perspective of what it is that folks were dealing with there. And sadly, it was in the overnight hours, and it wasn't a situation that started at 3:30 and was done by 4. It was a situation that started at 3:30 and lasted for hours. And in fact, a lot of people were asleep, didn't even know, didn't know what they were waking up to. And that's where we're at right now, some 15, 16, 17 hours later.
And some of our friends and neighbors aren't in the clear yet.
Yeah.
Where they're just gonna start seeing it. That's what Suchan says. Okay, so we've been showing you our reporters from across the area. I think right now we have an interview from Ethan Trejo, who has been out in Spring Branch.
And how long have you guys lived in the area?
Yeah, I've lived here about 5 years now, but we've never experienced a flood like this, so super excited.
What was your reaction, to kind of seeing, I don't know if you've seen any of it on social media, but the river is obviously going to pile up all the way, probably up until this bench. What is your kind of reaction to that, and what do you think of it coming right in your backyard?
Yeah, so I actually woke up and I had no clue. I was just ready for 4th of July, but seeing this, it's actually super surprising, and we're just praying that everyone stays safe out here.
Yeah. So where do you guys live? A little bit farther up the road, or where do you guys live?
Yes, so we live a little bit north, maybe 3 minutes from here,
Okay.
a little bit up on the hill, so hopefully we'll stay safe up there.
Yeah. Do you guys have like a kind of, I guess, just disaster plan in the case that this happens? Because I know this is, like surprising. Nothing like this has ever happened.
Yes. Yeah. So we have like generators, and I think we're going to be going to HEB here in a little bit to try to stock up on some food just in case.
Yeah, for sure. That's really all I need from you. Is there anything else you wanted to include?
No, I think we're good.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Okay, well, an interview with someone who says she's not seen flooding like that before in the area. I believe that was out of Spring Branch. I know that's where Ethan was earlier. Hoping all those folks out there stay safe.
That number right there that you're looking at on your screen is going to be the one that folks are being told to call if perhaps you still have a loved one who is missing or unaccounted for. That's going to be the reunification number, the hotline that law enforcement and emergency responders are asking you to call. 1-800-733-2767. Again, 1-800-733-2767 if you perhaps have a loved one who is still missing or you've not heard from just yet. In addition to that, we also want to share with you the shelter information. We know the reunification center there.
So there is protesters. I got you now, Josh, on Discord. I added you, so I can see it next time. Yeah, I saw they were getting a little kind of rowdy a little bit in LA as far as the protest. They issued a dispersal order, and they kind of, I guess, didn't want to go. I haven't seen anything where it's gotten crazy yet, but I did see they were getting a little rowdy somewhat. They issued a unlawful assembly. So I'll be keeping an eye on that to see what happens if it escalates. Because they've been out there all day, really. I haven't streamed because I haven't seen anything really like, oh, shoot, they got to get on. But, and, we've been covering this. But I will keep an eye on it, though, because if it gets tense or, gets crazy, I'll jump back on. Breaking news, Lake Tahoe fireworks show canceled. A barge carrying fireworks for the event was damaged in the storm. Okay. Yeah, a lot of events got canceled. There's some local events near me that got canceled today. Not that I was really intending to go today, but I stepped outside for a little bit. After this stream, I'm going to go outside again for a little bit with Maddie. because I have neighbors that are lighting things up. So we'll just go, just kind of low key, chill, And tomorrow we're gonna go out during the day for a little bit.
Those kids are going into the high school, I assume
Happy
they
4th,
are,
B.
and we're not sure where those kids are from. It looks like there's still some to the left over there. Obviously, I can't look as far as our cameras can, but I mean, it's been a pretty hectic day out here. If you pan it back to me here for a second, I mean, those Blackhawks, much of the helicopter activity has stopped in this area. And I'm not seeing as many emergency responders going down towards Hunt on this road over here. But I do want to show you a nearby river. Take a look with me. I'm going to come over here. I mean, it's over there, and just take a look. It's completely destroyed. A lot of these trees are knocked down. I saw buoys that were all the way up to the tree line. There's school property, actually, I believe it's school property that's all over the field near it. That's actually Old Lake Ingram. It's near, I believe, the Ingram Dam. And even the road along this river is compromised. I mean, there's actually a car over there that no one's in it. I don't think the owner is aware, but it's over a cave because the soil has just been eroded from the power of the river. And yeah, I mean, I'll keep you up to date with what's going on out here.
Phil, thanks a lot for that reporting. In those images that he was showing you right there, what we were describing earlier, the power of the water, you can see some of those trees snap there. Those aren't saplings. Those aren't new trees. Those trees have been there for a while.
Yeah.
But again, it gives you insight into what it was that folks were dealing with out there, sadly, in the overnight hours when they weren't necessarily aware that it was happening to begin with.
Terrifying catastrophe, horrible situation. And we have video now from Mariah Bonilla. This is a water rescue in San Angelo.
This is going to be the San Angelo area, just to make sure that we're not confusing it here. This is not going to be in the Kerrville area, but this is far west Texas, San Angelo, because again, the storm system that we dealt with overnight here in our area obviously came from somewhere, and that storm system has moved on to other parts of the country. But prior to getting here, it was out in San Angelo before it got here, and that right there is a look at a water rescue, someone on a pole there.
Just clinging to it.
Holding on for dear life and being rescued there by the folks in the raft.
And what we've seen in our area is a lot of people being rescued out of trees is what we've heard of. But fortunately, that person is okay, because when these waters come, if you are out or you're swept out of your house or whatever it is, however you end up in the water, your only hope is that you can catch on to something. And for that person, it was one of those poles. For some people, it's trees. And they're the lucky ones.
Those images that I look at right there reminds me, I was in Houston covering Harvey, and of course Harvey was a flood situation too, so you saw the water rise up, but it wasn't a situation where it was rushing like this. It's Bayou City for a reason. You got bayous everywhere, certainly rushing, but when I see the wall of water like that, it's such a dangerous situation.
It's a very different situation than what you had with Harvey, which was catastrophic in its own right.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this is flash flood alley, and that's a completely different animal from a slow-moving tropical system right along our coastline like we saw with Harvey. And so you inundate the hill country with the rocky soil, hard ground from drought conditions, and then of course you're talking about rainfall rates that could be 2.5 to over 3 inches per hour. And the water just has nowhere to go. And it just surges into these river basins. And so here's the Guadalupe, which is much calmer than it was earlier this morning. Pardon me. I've been watching a few folks coming over here to observe the river. But you see it's still, it's that still powerful flow. Just over 4,000 cubic feet per second is what we have. So these are updated numbers. There are some developments I can point out to you here. First of all, Bandera is right now in the midst of the crest. So this is the peak level at 12,300 cubic feet per second. Moderate flood stage right now in Bandera, working down through Bridal Gate Ranch into Pipe Creek. Notice the flow here has gone up almost to 5,000 cubic feet per second, and that's climbing. So that's emptying into Medina Lake here shortly. Bergheim is offline. Medina's offline on these two gauges. There you see the latest reading from Kerrville. Comfort's holding just above 40,000. And that's now coming out of a flood, or it's minor flood stage, I believe, dropping out. And then Spring Branch, it just ticked up to 20.9, but it's really going to be the next hour or two, I believe, that we'll start to see a noticeable increase and eventually that value there is going to go much higher. In fact, it has been revised up on the forecast from the National Weather Service. So we start with comfort. There you see again the river. It is in minor flood stage here. You see the minor to moderate to major. It was in major flood stage, and it's going to be dropping quickly out of minor flood stage. Now here's Spring Branch. The change is that the Weather Service, they have bumped it to, I mean, that is right up there against major flood. It originally was 37.2, and now it's at 38.4, so they did raise the value up for a crest just over a foot. I mean, that's right up there to the 281 bridge. And the river has been overtaking bridges back west. Sisterdale, which is about 30 feet above the bridge as you're coming on Sisterdale Road into Sisterdale, was underwater. And so, that's going to be awfully close. And that's very close. This is major flood stage right here at 39 gauge feet. All right, so at 38.4, just shy of 39 feet. And there you can see the corresponding cubic feet per second here on the right side here of this graph. All right, this is in Bandera. And again, just want to show.
Okay, just hanging out. We're about almost 20 minutes away, 22 minutes away from the official press conference. I honestly, throughout this time, I have not read that anybody has been found of the missing camp, Camp Mystic. Haven't heard anything yet. I see some new pictures. I mean, I saw this one I didn't see earlier. Win Naylor. Let's check this out. I'll show you after.
Right on the river, and it washed away his RV bus. His neighbor came over and knocked on the door and got him out. And a little while after he got out, it washed it away, and it's wrapped around a tree. So thank God he got out of there. And some other people 4 miles from us, I heard, had a bunch of mobile homes over there, and they apparently washed away. But there was rescues involved, and from what I understand, nobody perished. They got the people.
When it even floods just a little, do you know what the camps do about that?
Mm-hmm. And then, the way that water comes up so fast, it's like a tidal wave comes flying down the river, and you don't have time to get out of the way. It overwhelms you so fast that you can't escape it, and that's the scary part.
Yeah, and so what's your reaction when you hear that these little summer camps have been affected by this?
Oh, my heart just drops. It's a sinking feeling of horror. Yeah. I live in a hurricane area, and my family members are down in St. Louis, Mississippi, which is right on the water. They got hit by Katrina and Camille.
Yeah.
And these things are very similar.
Yeah.
At the end of it, it looks like a bomb went off. Everything's just destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And it just horrifies you to think about how these people experience their last moments.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Is there anything else that you want to add that you've seen that I haven't asked yet?
The thing that scares me the most about what happened here is the timing. The fact that it was the 4th of July when the most people are camping and putting things down by the water and closest to the water, and the most dangerous possible scenario. This happens, the night before the 4th, when the most people are here, and probably in the most people in dangerous areas.
Yeah.
So it's just hair-raising that something like this would happen.
So right there, we just heard from Bill, who lives in Ingram. And at the time when Courtney Friedman spoke with him, we weren't really aware of his entire situation. We just know that obviously he's a nice man. He's worried about all of the people who were in danger. But Bill is himself in a precarious situation right now. We do know that he is suffering from cancer. He's someone who goes for chemotherapy treatments. And if you've ever been related to somebody who's in the midst of going through those treatments, you know that they need to be near a hospital because you don't know what other resources or medical attention they might need. Sometimes emergencies happen just like that. And so, Bill, I hope that you're okay. What we know is that Bill right now is still stranded. We're going to keep trying to get through to Bill. But Bill, if you're watching, we hope that you're okay, because obviously when you were talking, you were sitting there and you were concerned about all of the other people that might have been in trouble at that time. And Bill, by the way, is west of the Ingram Dam. Yeah, which we know had been heavily damaged throughout all of this. We are about 20 minutes away at this point from an expected update from the governor at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with our coverage in just a moment.
Okay, so take a little minute break. Everybody's talking about the weather. TikTok had some cool feeds, but the thing is, it's like all these fake videos they have on there as well. There's too much.
Watching KSAT Plus, where you can stream live newscasts, catch the latest weather updates, and get the latest on San Antonio sports right from your TV or phone. So you can download the free KSAT Plus app today and never miss a moment of San Antonio's top stories and live events. Have a great day.
Deadly flooding. Explosion rocks Leander neighborhood. Police and fire crews on scene. Hearing a lot more fireworks outside.
What has happened in the Texas Hill Country today has now spread across the country. It's making national headlines, and it's also getting some federal resources, which, resources from anywhere seem to be greatly needed at this point. We know we've got some reactions, some statements from various people at the federal level, including Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, saying, I've been working throughout the day with Kerr County leaders, state emergency management, and Governor Greg Abbott to get every resource possible to those affected by the flooding. I've activated federal resources to help those affected and bring Americans in crisis to safety. Pray for Texas.
Okay, so while we have that, we also have this statement from Ted Cruz. He put it out on X. He said, please pray right now for everyone in the Hill Country, especially Camp Mystic. Camp Mystic is that private Christian camp where a number of girls were going for summer camp. Now, he said, today I've spoken with Governor Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Patrick, the head of TDEM, and President Trump. Multiple helicopters are performing search and rescue. President Trump has committed is committed to anything that Texas needs.
So a lot of different reactions and statements coming in, including safety tips from TxDOT. Right now, I know turnaround, don't drown may seem, just kind of like tongue in cheek to say, but it is not, because this is a situation, as we keep mentioning, that we are watching this water, watching the levels rise dramatically in areas downstream. Do not drive through high water, especially as the sun is setting. You don't know how deep it is when the sun is out, but especially when there is no light around. Don't drive through water-covered roadways, obey traffic signals and barricades. Do not drive around barricades if you see them. Monitor local media, drivetexas.org, they're saying, for current road conditions there as well.
Okay, now we're going to go to our next one. So this is a statement from the city of Kerrville. That is really where we've concentrated a bulk of our efforts today, because that area has seen so much devastation. Now, it says here, this is something that was put out Well, I don't know exactly what time this was posted, but this came from Facebook. It says our KPD team, along with our friends from the Kerrville Fire Department, Kerr County Sheriff's Office, and many other agencies are still actively conducting search and rescue operations. We will continue until all of our citizens are accounted for. This is a devastating event for our community, but we are strong together. We're humbled by the outpouring of support and assistance that we've received and continue to receive. For now, we ask you to please stay off the streets as much as possible, and we will provide updates as we are able. Our thoughts are with all who have been impacted by this tragic event in our community. That's coming from the police department in Kerrville.
And I believe that we also had word because utilities are greatly affected right now. We got a lot of power outages, water main breaks as well. So the city of Kerrville asking people to conserve water because of the damage that this flood has caused to the infrastructure there. Also just making a note that the library will be closed tomorrow. You know, a lot of places probably shut down dealing with the aftermath of all of this. We want to get over to Adam Caskey, standing by at the weather wall to give us the very latest on this system and especially those water levels downstream, Adam.
All right, yes, we're going to get to that. We even have a live shot of the Guadalupe River near Spring Branch. Now, Shelby, if you don't mind we can look through some of these, but there's one in particular, if you could go farther up, we're looking at this one right here. Let's pop that one full screen. From El Prez. It says about 5 miles outside of Bernie, Faro. So this is basically northeast of Bernie. And this is that crossing that we've been talking about that had that 44, almost 45-foot rise just in a matter of, 4 or 5 hours, right? This is FM 474. And to give you an idea of what we're looking at here, so this is the Guadalupe River, but also you look at the hydrograph here. Look at this. This is the water level, which did crest at just about 50 feet, and now it's slowly starting to recede. But this is the actual data from that spot. So that's the data, and as I switch this over to the Guadalupe River to show you the location. Shelby, if you don't mind calling up the hydrograph for Spring Branch, right? So that is basically right here at Amon's Crossing, I believe, where there's river access. And this should be 474 that we're referencing right along here. So to give you reference, that's where that photo came from. It was not up over that bridge, which is a good thing, but it sure was high, and there was a lot of debris getting stuck along the bridge. Now that swell has moved downstream, and here's Bernie. There's that reference. Bernie right here, and it's about 7 miles as the crow flies up to where that photo was taken. And that was just a trickle. The water went from 5 feet to 50 feet in the matter of just a couple of hours. And we're going to see another significant climb at Spring Branch. And at Spring Branch, that's where we anticipate the moderate flooding. I'm going to get rid of this off the screen here. This is the moderate flood stage. But keep in mind, even in the minor flood stage, the water could get up over Highway 281. That has happened before, where the crest was 10 feet lower than what we're expecting right now. So the Guadalupe River at Spring Branch still very benign, just trickling along, not much to it. But you see how steep this curve is. That's how quickly it's going to change. 10 o'clock, we're at about 9 feet. Okay, still not significant, but look how.
Okay, we got 10 minutes left, guys. We got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left. Abbott's supposed to be talking about the situation, giving us up to date what is going on. Hopefully with these kids.
Let you know, just because the sun is going down does not mean that the search and rescue efforts will end for the night. That will not be the case. We were told by the Lieutenant Governor, along with others, that the search and rescue efforts will continue through the night. And as we had shared earlier in the mention from Kerrville and PD and Fire out there, they say they will continue to search so long as they need to. So just because the sun is setting does not mean the efforts will not continue. The hopes are to continue to find people, survivors,
Yes.
and bring them back to their families to be reunited.
They will be working around the clock. And there's also something else that I've just gotten in, and this was something I've been waiting to see, because people have evacuated their homes. And when you evacuate your home, it means you leave everything behind. And it's so unfortunate in these circumstances that we see pets. But Kerr County Animal Services has posted online. We will be posting pictures of found or missing pets from the floods. If you recognize or are missing a pet, they have a number to call. And there's a form online as well to fill out if you're missing a pet, if you found a pet.
Yeah, the pets,
or
a lot of people's
if you
pets.
had to leave a pet behind. I guess they're going to be adding pictures of pets and updates in their comments. That's on their social media page. And I have another one for you. Kerrville Pets Alive has posted, if you have a pet, or if you know someone who does, in need due to the flooding, message us your contact information. You can email them as well, and choose the option for cat or dog emergencies. So they're going and helping to take care of animals. If you had to leave your home and you have your pet with you and you don't know where you can go to a shelter, where to go to keep your animal, your pet safe, Kerr County or Kerrville Pets Alive is also going to help, and they're going to be posting missing and found pets in the comments as well. So there are two different groups. If you or someone that you know is trying to figure out where your pet is, if they're lost or if you found them, because that's unfortunately what happens. As animals get scared, they run, right? So they're tracking those lost, found, and missing pets.
So we know this event started at 3:30 in the morning. That was going to be in the middle of the night. Sadly, a lot of water coming down in a short amount of time. And unfortunately, that stayed the case for a couple of hours thereafter, which led to what it was that we've seen all day today. And I mean, you look at the fence line there, it kind of tipped over. But it's been a day of devastation, a day of destruction, a lot of heartbreak, heartache, as we have confirmed 13 people sadly have passed away. That's going to include adults and children as well, who the governor, Lieutenant Governor had mentioned some of their bodies sadly recovered in trees. You know, we are still waiting to learn more of the numbers, but we do know as it stands now, 400 to 500 is a number of crews that are out currently on the ground conducting these search and rescue efforts. We know that there are 14 choppers out in the air. We've got 9 rescue teams out there. Everybody who needs to be in place and efforting to rescue people is out there. And as the Lieutenant Governor said, they don't need more assistance. Don't put yourself in harm's way, and let them do their jobs to hopefully see more of these images that we're seeing there on your screen.
And another thing we've seen, even in these communities where the homes are just gone, which is we have seen, our neighbors coming out to help neighbors, to help them clean, pick up, and that's going to be a process that continues for quite a while. Right now, we're going to go back to meteorologist Joe DiCarlo speaking with a homeowner.
Hey guys, we are here again in Kerrville, waterfront drive right along the Guadalupe River, and we did meet a gentleman here. His name is Greg, and he offered us to show his house and what's unfortunately what's left of his house after the water this morning. As you can come inside here, you could see the complete devastation, the mud, the floodwaters, everything that's been completely moved throughout his entire home. Greg, if I could bring you in real quick, what was it like this morning? Can you explain kind of what you saw and what's left?
Woke up, saw brilliant lights flashing through the windows. Thought it was fireworks. Turns out it's the transformers going off, blowing up outside. Rain was just pouring down. And so I thought, well, I better look outside. I looked outside, and the water's up to my foundation of my house. And I've got a 5-foot tall foundation. It was terrifying. And by the time I got stuff together, got out to my car, I was going to back it out. I couldn't get it out. Would have floated. So
what did you do?
So I had just waded out to the high ground. And
you came back and
I called the people that I know in the neighborhood, said, get out now.
Get on out, man.
In this house and the 2 houses down. But anyway, it was quite terrifying.
And everyone you know, or your whole family's okay?
Yes.
And were you the only one in this house at the time?
I was the only one in this house. That is correct. And the house next door, it's rented. I rented out to a pastor and his wife and kids, and they were in Memphis. So thank God they were out.
Thankfully. What's it like just seeing this happen to your house? I don't know about what's next. Right now, today is cleanup, but how does it make you feel about your neighborhood just changed kind of in a couple hours?
Just demolished, and you just have to roll with the punches and get in here, clean it up, cut the sheetrock so that it can dry out and get to work.
And thankfully you're okay, and everyone you know is okay. So that's definitely the good news here. If we could just take a few more little looks here. It is completely flooded. Oops.
Muddy. Oh, sorry.
That was Joe interviewing someone out there in the particular area that he was at, which was going to be in the Kerr area, not too far off the banks of the Guadalupe River.
He has been out there talking to neighbors all day. He's had the most mind-blowing, heart-stopping, just incredible, gut-wrenching accounts of those neighbors out in that community. Some whose homes are gone, some whose homes are never going to look the same, even though they haven't moved. Some whose homes have not been affected at all. The community has been, though, and the neighbors have all been out there helping one another and sending their best wishes.
Sadly, some of those neighbors have also lost loved ones. We did hear one report not too far away from where Joe was earlier of one family in particular, of which 3 had been swept away. One had, from what we could tell right now, survived, found in a tree, taken to a hospital where he continues to recover. And as we keep mentioning, we're going to hear stories like that over the course of the next couple of hours as we learn more information about the number of rescues, the number of people who are still unaccounted for, and sadly the number of people who have died, which those numbers that you see on your screen, we are anticipating them to change. We are awaiting a press conference from the Governor Greg Abbott, roughly in the next 5 minutes, but we do know everything is in flux. It is a moving situation to where maybe they delay it. What you're looking at right now is a live shot from Ingram High School. That's going to be the location in which we had seen a couple of choppers earlier in the evening, roughly 2 to 3 hours ago. We had seen about 3 to 4 choppers land one after another, with anywhere between 6 to 12 campers per chopper that were brought. So by our count, roughly 30 to 40 of those campers who had been rescued. We had also seen some buses on the ground there. We had seen from the Texas Game Warden's Facebook page that they were finally able to access the camp by way of the driveway, if you will, the entrance, where in the past we had heard they were not able to get there. And that's what the Lieutenant Governor had mentioned before, that parents have to have patience. Certainly not what you want to hear, but once they're able to get there, they would make that effort to rescue, and that's what's currently underway right now. And
I was just going to start talking about this information. We have a little bit more clarity on exactly what Camp Mystic is. It is a traditional sleepover camp, so it's things like canoeing, horseback riding, arts and crafts, dance. It's been there for almost 100 years. It's all girls. And the campers are unplugged. They're not allowed to have cell phones. So even if they wanted to call their parents,
cell phone.
Cell phones aren't allowed.
That sounds kind of weird.
They were not able to. But the Wi-Fi is down anyways. They can communicate with their parents through the mail. The cabins don't have air conditioning. It's like going back in time.
It's like old school.
The youngest campers just finished the 2nd grade. The oldest campers just finished 11th grade. The campers are either there for a 4-week session or a 2-week session. This current session was a 4-week long. It started less than a week ago. It started on Sunday. Now, what we're seeing in this live shot is the reunification. It is at Ingram High School. So all of the girls are here at Ingram High, or they're being sent there for a medical evaluation. So that's why we're seeing all of these ambulances here. Once they're cleared, the parents can go and get them from Ingram Elementary School. We can also tell you the 23 who are unaccounted for are in the youngest cabins. It is girls who just finished 2nd and 3rd grade.
Yeah, but they didn't have anybody looking over them?
There have been 3 cabins mentioned over and over. Twins 1, Twins 2, and Bubble Inn are the name of those cabins. And that is in alignment with what we've seen Emma Allen share from the live desk. That Twins cabin is where some of those girls were staying in those images. Apparently those cabins are the closest to the river, but they're not.
I guess I see what they're trying to do. Maybe no cell phone to like keep the kids, because because everybody's so on their devices. But I don't know. What if an emergency? What if you need to contact your kid? What if you want to check on your kid? Or maybe some people don't want to check on their kid. See ya. See you in a month. Bye. You know.
Then
I don't know.
there was a wall of water, and it just swept through. So horribly, the 23 who are unaccounted for, as I just said, are amongst those in the youngest cabins, which were also the closest to the river.
That's all the information that we're still getting in right now as we're learning more information about the camp, along with the numbers of those who are still unaccounted for, those who sadly have passed away. Excuse me. We do have reporters fanned out across the area. We had seen some at RV parks.
Hey, what's going
We
on,
have
Greg?
some
Greg
down-
Abbott. You said 9 o'clock. What time? Or 10 o'clock Eastern. Somebody said waiting. What happened? Oh, Lord.
We had seen cars picked up and tossed away as well. The number you're looking at on your screen right now is perhaps for anyone who still has a loved one who is missing or who they've not heard from. The number to call there that you're being asked to call is 1-800-733-2767. That's going to be the number for the Red Cross Reunification Center, as again we are hoping to hear a lot more reunions and hopefully good endings to this story.
Yeah, this is, I'm finishing reading Ashley's email. It's what I was just looking at. Our morning anchor on Fox, Ashley Sutton, our sister station, attended Camp Mystic as a Camp Brianna counselor. And she wrote, if the tragedy had not unfolded, the girls would be on the banks of the river watching fireworks, enjoying a Coca-Cola and a Hershey's bar. Coca-Cola and chocolate is only allowed on select days over the 4-week term, one being the 4th of July. They would be called back to their cabins around 9:30 to shower before Taps plays at Lights Out around 10:30. The girls would hear over the speakers, "Good night, Camp Mystic. We love you." And that's a hard thing to read. And it's hard to say. All of this is hard. It's been a hard day for all of you out there and for an unknown number of families.
And you know, today is supposed to be a day of celebration, 4th of July, and for families to come together. But sadly, in this case, it's one of tragedy, it's of devastation, and unfortunately for heartbreak for some families out there who've lost loved ones. And sadly, we're anticipating more people to have been declared killed by this flooding tragedy. We are still waiting to hear from the governor. That's expected any moment now.
Yeah.
But we do want to turn over our attention to a reporter who does have a little bit of a recap and some updates on what it is that we're seeing right now in our area.
Flood emergency. At least 13 people are dead, according to authorities, including children. And at least 20 kids are missing from a summer camp after a sudden surge along the Guadalupe River, north of San Antonio.
It's going to be a mass casualty event.
Authorities saying 14 helicopters are in the air. One rescuer dangling from a chopper, appearing to help someone up in a tree as flooding rages below. Cars lifting off the ground, swept away by the powerful waters. These steps leading to a house that's no longer there.
This is our house right here.
Another pushed down the road.
The water started to rise very rapidly. Rapidly.
Along the river, a series of summer camps. The La Junta camp for boys posting that everyone is safe. But some girls at Camp Mystic, trapped.
Now there are 20-some that aren't accounted for. We're praying for all of those missing to be found alive.
You can feel the anxiety here as parents are waiting to hear word about their child. We're told that these children are being transported by helicopter, the only way out of the camp, as parents wait to hear they've returned safely.
The county judge pressed on why the camps weren't evacuated.
We knew there was going to be a problem. Why weren't these camps evacuated?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
These camps were in harm's way.
He went on.
This flood was coming.
We didn't know this flood was coming. Rest assured, no one knew this kind of flood was coming.
The tight-knit Texas towns across Kerr County are popular recreation areas. Len Clendenin and Rory Higgins were camping, asleep in their cabin when the water started rushing in.
Everything happened so terribly fast. There was mobile homes, travel trailers, cabins, vehicles, people in the water. It was devastating.
They took this video showing a building from the campground washing away. Their beloved border collie Ripper is still missing. Flood threats were in place overnight. Because drenching rain flooded the riverhead, massive amounts of water got pushed downstream. At one point today, National Weather Service data showing the water rising nearly 30 feet in 1 hour. This region near the Guadalupe River is no stranger to floods. And in 1987, rapidly rising water killed 10 people.
Buses stalled out and the water was it was real deep, so we were going to try to get out and get to the road. It wasn't too far back, and it started washing people away.
Today's storm means one area park that normally looks like this is instead underwater. It was set to host 4th of July fireworks tonight. What was supposed to be a holiday celebration is now a nightmare.
This came at night when people were asleep in bed. Please pray for our community.
Some of the images there that we see, you know, compared to that 1987 flood, 10 people confirmed dead in that one. This one, already the death toll stands at 13.
Wow, yeah, and I've been uploading and reloading my page to see about the governor's press conference. Presumably, so we know that the governor is in Kerrville, ready to give us an update. He was not available earlier. We were hearing from acting governor, who is Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and we heard from officials in Kerrville. They're now together. I'm hoping they're all in the same room and able to speak from their own unique perspective, from the folks in the city of Kerrville and then from the state level. And I know that they've also been in contact with the White House at the state level.
Where were you that it took so long to hold a press conference?
Again, the sun is down now, so it is nighttime, and that shifts things a bit for search and rescue teams who aren't stopping at all in their efforts. It just makes it a little more difficult.
Everybody's waiting on
I
Abbott.
think one of the reasons, as we mentioned before, as was the case with the earlier press conferences that we were waiting for, I think this could be a matter of, and we're assuming here, but this could be a matter of making sure that they're all on the same page. The last thing that they want to do is give different accounts of different numbers, and that's what, we had two separate press conferences going on. We heard one set of numbers from one. We heard a separate from a different. I think in this case, initially this press conference was set to be at 7. It's now at 9. That could be a matter of let's get on the same page, make sure we have the right and same numbers to report to folks who are perhaps still with missing loved ones out there. But we would anticipate to get an update on the number of people that have passed away. We will likely get an update on the number of people who are unaccounted for, and hopefully a number of people who have been rescued. Because again, as we mentioned, our focus right now has been on Camp Mystic, but there are several camps out there. And in addition to those camps that have children, there are also RV camps out there. There are also some small neighborhoods out there. We had seen a couple of them where homes had been ripped off there along the Guadalupe in Kerrville. So a lot of families impacted by this. We're anticipating to learn a little bit more, to get insight from the governor who is there on the ground. But as mentioned before, he said the support will be there for as long as it needs to be there, as will search and rescue crews. Just because the sun goes down does not mean they stop those efforts. They will continue through the night until everyone is found and is finally accounted for.
And unfortunately, you know, two of those numbers that we wait to hear about are bad. They expect the death toll to rise. They only had a number of unaccounted from that one camp, from Camp Mystic. So all of the situations that we've heard of from all of these other communities and all these other neighborhoods and all these other campgrounds of reports of people missing or who were swept away, those are not in that number of 23 unaccounted. That is just the number from Camp Mystic. That is
Thank
just
you so
the
much
number
for the range. Thank you for the 10.
Of girls, kids
Campers
that are there,
are
campers, counselors, any other staff from the camp.
The
23.
support.
So without question, we've got it posted online. We know there are more that are unaccounted.
Sadly, we had already heard from another camp in which they didn't have kids there, but sadly the camp director did pass away. That's one death that we have been able to confirm. And again, that's going to be at a different camp. Didn't have children there. Nevertheless, devastating knowing that someone lost their lives there as well.
That was Hard Over the Hills camp. The camp director was there. Most who were there when it happened overnight are okay, and that's in Hunt, Texas. But unfortunately, the camp director, who is just a pillar in that community and has made a huge mark in so many lives, did not survive the flooding overnight in that situation. But there weren't any campers at Hard Over the Hills. So there is that we're not dealing with a situation like we are at Camp Mystic, and where they have 750 campers, counselors, all sorts of people who are out there putting on these camps that go for 2 to 4 week sessions. It takes a lot of people for that to happen, And of course, that brings us back to this live shot. Now that the sun is down, is that these are where the girls are being brought. They had to wait a while because so many of the roads were impassable, which may also have contributed to the reason that the press conference we're waiting for, that it was pushed back, because they were trying to get to Kerrville, to where emergency management headquarters is setting up their home base in the midst of this tragedy and this ongoing crisis. A lot of the roads were closed. So if they're impassable, I don't know, maybe they're flying by helicopter, but if they're going by car,
they won't be able to get
just
there.
Just because you're the governor doesn't
sure.
mean the roads are clear, right? So
exactly
it's possible that getting there was part of the problem too.
And I think that goes without saying, if we have the pictures from the game wardens on their Facebook page, why it was a sense of relief as well to see that they were finally able to get there to the entrance to start rescuing some of the girls out there. What you're looking at right now, sadly, on the other side of that spectrum are going to be some of the kids that are still missing right now at this hour.
These are the images, every single one of these girls. So what we were telling you was that a lot of them were in cabins that serve second and third graders. Gosh, and these are their beautiful little faces, and we hope that every single one of them is found. It's hard to see and put it into perspective in this way, that there are families out there that don't know where their daughter is, and in one case, Aiden,
a young man as well.
Yes.
Those pictures right there are those that are still missing. If perhaps you have a loved one that's missing, we can't share this number enough for you. It's the reunification number from Red Cross. It's 1-800-733-2767. You should see it there on your screen again, 1-800-733-2767. That's the number that you're being asked to call if in fact you have a loved one that perhaps is still missing or you haven't heard from. We do know that the power is out for several thousands of folks out there. The hopes are maybe they just don't have power to their cell phone. That's why they haven't been able to reach out, and maybe their road is blocked and they can't get to a different place to let you know that they're okay. At least those are the hopes right now. But we do know as the sun sets tonight, several hours after this initial catastrophe took place, it's
Still no live.
no easier to report right now, as we are anticipating to hear from the governor that perhaps the death toll has gone up. But we wait and we'll see.
It will be a long night. It will be a long day tomorrow. It's going to be a long week for the next week. This is a situation that is going to continue to evolve. I have, unfortunately, worked through a crisis like this one other time in my life, and it's devastating. It's like an apocalypse, and it's hard. It's unspeakable, and it's just a very heavy feeling. For those communities, but you
people are wondering
also
where's
see the beautiful side of humanity coming out. We saw a gentleman earlier who said,
where's the
was fine.
governor?
Someone pulled me out of my house. Like I heard of other people in my neighborhood who were swept away, but I didn't even have shoes. I went down the street and they gave me shoes. And what's next for you? I don't know. I guess I got to find clothes. It puts into perspective to be thankful for what you do have. And then the other side of this is, it's the 4th of July. It's the day we celebrate our nation's independence, and it's such a good, fun day.
Yeah.
And you know, these campers went to bed, and all of these people in campgrounds, because we've heard stories of people who, this is my first time in the area. I'm camping along the Guadalupe River, or we do this every year, and then this happened, and now this is what we have to talk about. It's not the fireworks. It's not celebrating the fireworks show or having taps play at lights out or hearing goodnight campers on the night of the 4th of July and knowing that you had a great day. We're now having to talk about the fact that at least 23 campers are missing.
Right now we are still waiting for that press conference by the governor. Everybody seems to be there and in line awaiting for the governor's arrival. As he approaches and takes the podium, we will listen in. We will be recapping whatever it is that he says, but again, we can see that he'll be flanked there by Texas DPS, other emergency management. I'm not sure if NIMKID would likely be there as well, the state emergency management.
I'm trying to peek on the side of our monitor there to see if I can tell who any of those folks are.
Well, everybody that's somebody that needs to be there to let us know what the very latest is going to be there. But again, as others are approaching right now, they want to make sure that they're giving us the most up-to-date, correct information, and hopefully they'll share some good news with us. But again, what we are anticipating is an update on the number of people who perhaps have been lost.
And we want to tell you, so this is happening in Kerrville, and they're in the midst of this devastation. It's continuing. So as you're watching this live look, you can see the shot freezing a little bit. We're going to go to it when we are able to. You can see it's grainy. It's kind of going in and out. We have our reporter, Jay Avila, who's there. So if something happens and the shot drops, we're going to stick with it. But we also have someone there listening in to make sure that we're getting all of the information that they're putting out. However, if it does drop out, we're probably going to try to stick with it. We might narrate over it and wait till the shot comes back. We're just kind of going with this and hoping that the shot that it stays fluid for us.
And do keep in mind the earlier press conferences that we did have from the Lieutenant Governor and community leaders. We also have those right now posted for you on our Facebook page, our website, all of our social media platforms. If perhaps you want to catch up on what some of the other information that was shared with us, it will be there, as will this one. If perhaps it does freeze, we are streaming this live on our Facebook page and on our website and our mobile app, News 4 SA as well. But we are anticipating at any moment the governor to arrive there along with others to let us know what the very latest is on this devastating flood. There's the governor now entering this press conference.
I don't know. I'm going to let our producer tell us when we're going to go ahead and take the audio full. If you want us to go ahead and do it now, we can do that now. It looks like he's approaching, so let's listen.
Come on, Abby.
All right.
Okay.
What we'll do is I'm going to see if we can pull it up by way of our Facebook page.
The response is taking place here in the center part of Texas. And we need to continue to invoke God Almighty. The one thing I hear the most from really across the globe, prayers that are being sent, and we need to continue to invoke God Almighty. The one thing I hear the most from people across the country, really across the globe, are the prayers that are being sent for those who are in harm's way to be successfully rescued. Those who are giving thanksgiving to God right now because their family member has been located. Those who remain prayerful that their family member too will be found. This is a time when we as a state, we as a community need God more than ever. Little kids off at camp, joyfully excited about the upcoming day to celebrate the 4th of July. Campers alongside the river, doing the same thing and enjoying one of the beautiful spots in the state of Texas. Asleep probably just a few hours from waking up. People that I know of who were not in harm's way, but went into harm's way to try to save the lives of others, but who lost their life. So many people have been swept up into an extraordinary catastrophe. It needs God, but it also needs a robust response by the state and local governments and by people who live in these communities impacted by this. We had a meeting with officials at the state and local level, and there is extraordinary collaboration to make sure that we are going to address everybody's concern as quickly as we possibly can. At the state level, we have Texas Task Force 1 and Texas Task Force 2. There are some of the best experts in the world at search and rescue missions. And know this, we remain in a search and rescue posture right now. So it's been going on over the course of the day, and you're going to hear stories here momentarily about exactly what has been achieved through those search and rescue missions. They will continue in the darkness of night. They will be taking place when the sun rises in the morning. They will be nonstop, seeking to find everybody who is unaccounted for. The Texas National Guard has been a part of that process, and you'll hear the general in charge of that speak here soon, as well as the Texas Department of Public Safety and their operations. We also have game wardens from the Texas Parks and Wildlife that are involved in this process, as well as the Texas Division of Emergency Management. I have assured all of the local officials here that whatever they need, whether it be personnel, whether it be equipment, whether it be search and rescue operations, whether it be supporting them in their endeavors, whatever these communities need, the state of Texas is going to step up and provide it. But we know that what is needed and wanted the most is all the families out there who are waiting for information about their child or their loved one. And as you will hear, we are working on strategies to deliver on that information that families are craving. We want to make sure we get information to families as quickly as we possibly can. But most importantly, we will stop at nothing to ensure that every asset and person and plane and whatever is needed is going to be involved in the process of rescuing every last person and ensure everybody involved in this is going to be fully accounted for. As a part of this, I'm signing a disaster declaration. Definitely one that includes this area, but includes more than this. And this is the proclamation here that I'll sign, but I want to tell you in here, I'm declaring a state-based disaster for those in the following counties: Bandera, Coke, Comal, Concho, Gillespie, Kendall, Kerr, Kimball, Llano, Mason, McCullough, Menard, Reeves, San Saba, and Tom Green counties. This will ensure all the counties that are identified in this, and there may be more that need to be added later, are going to have access to every tool, strategy, personnel that the state of Texas can provide to them, which will be limitless. We'll put in everything we have in the entire state. Someone who's been involved in this and shares the commitment is the Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
Thank you, Governor. Dalton, who's our city manager, told us earlier that he was jogging at 3 in the morning along the river, and there wasn't a drop of rain falling. And within a few hours, the Guadalupe had risen about 26 feet, and actually it rose that quickly in about 45 minutes of those 2 hours. And since that first alert went out early this morning, between 4 and 5 a.m., the city officials here, the sheriff, immediately sprung into action. And since 4 or 5 this morning, they have not stopped. We put forth 400 to 500 state employees, DPS, game wardens. I'll let the speakers talk about the specifics of everyone we had in the air, drones, helicopters, but from the first minute that this storm went from 3 in the morning, not a drop of rain, until the tragedy struck and the river rose, these people behind us, Governor, have done everything they can. And there have been a number of rescues, and they'll speak to that as well during the day. And I echo what the governor said. As I said earlier, we will not stop until we find every body, and the rescue continues that effort. We will not stop, and it is God Almighty that we need, not a thought and prayers message. Hey, get down on your knees and pray for these families tonight and all these children. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. There's going to be other people who speak here, but before they do speak, I want to recognize a few others who will be involved in this process. One is the state representative from this area, West Riddell. Why don't you let people know who you are? And we're also in the State Senate District of Senator Pete Flores. And we have the Texas Parks and Wildlife Game Warden, Colonel, who's here with us. Where's Thank you all for being a part of this process. And now I want to turn things over to Sheriff Letha.
Yes, Sheriff Larry Letha, Kerr County. What I'd like to let y'all know and the public know is, like the governor said, we do have all the resources we need at this time, and we will continue to have them until we finish this mission. I want to tell y'all that we will be working around the clock 24/7 until every person is found. What I can confirm at this point, we're at about 24 fatalities. We're not going to be giving any names out at this time. We're still notifying next of kin. Also, I've been notified one fatality has been found in Kendall County. I cannot say it's related to this incident at this time, but we'll let y'all know when we find out more information. I ask the media to be real patient with us during this time. We've got a lot of things going on. Y'all see what? There's a lot of people here. We have a lot of resources. We just need more time, and we're looking really forward. We'll be working 24/7 overnight into tomorrow through the next several days in this mission. We will get you information as we get it. We will get it to you. We'll continue to have briefings. We'll continue to keep updated.
I'm waiting for the update. Where's the actual update?
I'll turn it over to Mayor Herring.
Like what's going on, the rescue?
I'm Jr. I'm mayor of the city of Kerrville. My job today is to tell people thank you. People from across the state have come to help. City, county, state, all working together, all working for the same goal. I want to say thank you to the dedicated men and women of the first responders. You are our heroes today. We will not stop. We will rescue those in peril, and we will find those who are missing. But I'd also ask, please pray for our community. This is a hard day, and there will be hard days to come. Pray for us. We covet your prayers. Thank you.
The task of the Texas Department of Public Safety is to serve and to protect our state, as well as to keep people safe. I want the Director, Colonel Freeman Martin, from the Texas Department of Public Safety to explain to you all the details about the lengths that DPS has gone through over just less than the past 24 hours, which has been very helpful in what you guys helped accomplish.
Well, this was a catastrophic event. It was a mass casualty event. And we don't want to get up here and brag about, the successes when there's life lost and kids that are still missing. But I can tell you every asset, every resources that the Department of Public Safety has is being used here today. We have long-lasting relationships with the Sheriff, Larry Letha, that go back 30 years, working with the mayor. And we brought in over 100 troopers this morning, and they worked all day, rescues, high water vehicles, boats, rescue drivers, divers, 7 rescue helicopters with hoist capabilities, and that was just today. We have another shift coming in tonight and another shift in the morning. We'll really ramp it up in the morning, but we will not stop. In addition to the search and rescue, that's the priority right now. Moving forward, tomorrow we're going to bring in communications operators, victim services people to help our partners here in Kerr County and HHSC. We have Parks and Wildlife here. They're providing just many boat teams, and they have 2 rescue helicopters. Today we had the Texas Military Department, the Texas Department of Public Safety, Parks and Wildlife, Task Force 1, everybody working in support of our local partners. That's what right looks like. There are no egos here. There's nobody in charge. We're all working together. We're all communicating, and we will not stop until we find every last person. So we'll be here for days to come. This is not, this won't end. Tomorrow is going to be a very important day. We had a hard time getting in this morning with the weather the way it was. So as the day went on, it picked up, and we were able to rescue more and recover more. That will continue tomorrow, and we have more resources en route. So with that, I'll turn it over to General Seltzer.
Good afternoon. As the governor has already said, he has ordered me to provide every capability that the Texas National Guard has to these local officials and this community. Today, we activated 5 helicopters with hoist to do rescue operations. They were paired with rescue swimmers from Texas Task Force 1. These crews trained together year-round just for this situation, and they were ready to respond. Additionally, we have 3 additional helicopters on the way to support the community. We are also using high-profile tactical military vehicles to move evacuees out of high water areas to shelter locations. As of a few hours ago, we had rescued or evacuated 237 people, and 167 of those were by helicopter. So we're having a very good helicopter response when the weather allows. Additionally, in our operations tomorrow, we'll be sending personnel to help with evacuee shelter management and also the Texas Emergency Tracking Network. It's a banding system so that we can band evacuees to help get accountability of who's being evacuated into the shelters. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Thank you to the men and women of the Texas National Guard. And now, Nim Kidd, the Chief of the Texas Division of Emergency Management.
Thank you, Governor. Our prayers are rooted in action. We've had folks on the ground since yesterday afternoon here, and our State Emergency Operations Center was opened at 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. The original forecast that we received on Wednesday from the National Weather Service predicted 3 to 6 inches of rain in the Concho Valley and 4 to 8 inches of rain in the Hill Country. We worked with our own meteorologists to fine-tune that weather statement, and as many of you know, and many of you in broadcast journalism and meteorology, you can go back and look at your own forecast, and the amount of rain that fell in this specific location was never in any of those forecasts. Nonetheless, in partnership with our local officials here, we had resources that have been surrounding this area since yesterday. When the rain fell and the calls came in, we immediately jumped into action alongside of our local partners. In addition to the local partners that are here, we have 150 personnel, search and rescue experts from Texas A&M Task Force 1. We have over 1,000 state officials and state partners that are responding here with over 804 assets, vehicles, boats, and helicopters. I want to run through that list really quickly. 150 from Texas Task Force 1, that is 30 boats and additional high-profile vehicles. You heard from Colonel Martin in the Texas Department of Public Safety. Colonel Vanderroos down on the end has over 170 personnel here, 167 four-wheel drive vehicles, and over 53 boats in addition to their aircraft. You heard from General Seltzer about the military departments. The A&M Forest Service is here to help us do tree removal and get trees out of the way and help with incident management. The Department of State Health Services has 164 members from the Emergency Medical Task Force here with over 71 pieces of equipment. You may see ambulances in this county that aren't anywhere from near here. They're part of the Emergency Medical Task Force. There will be questions about reunification centers. There'll be questions about noticing. Our local partners will answer those questions when you have them. And Governor, at this point, that ends my prepared remarks.
Thank you very much. So this is a 24/7 effort. Everyone needs to know, day or night, whatever hour of the day, there will be local officials, state officials collaborating together. Also want to thank the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, who gave me a phone call today to offer any assistance that we need. Secretary Doug Burgum, Secretary of the U.S. Department of the Interior, who called and offered any resources we need. Senator Cruz called and offered any support that they could provide. So this is something where the federal government is leaning in and wants to assist the community here in the heart of Texas to accelerate the process, to be able to draw this to a very positive conclusion. And it's something that Texas will continue to lean into. We'll take a few questions.
Any estimate on how many people are missing or unaccounted for?
No, at this time, sir, no, we don't. We don't have an estimate. The problem was it was a holiday weekend here. We have a lot of campers here, and we do not know that number at this time.
What about the 23 missing from Camp Missing? Has that number changed?
No, it's still it's between 23 and 25. We have not confirmed that yet. We're still working on that, sir.
You said the federal partners were helping with us, but we didn't receive any National Weather Service forecast until well into the storm. Can you give us any insight into why there wasn't any updates from the National Weather Service about the flooding?
I'm going to give you a good example. Where's he at?
City manager.
Dalton.
Yeah, I'm going to have the city manager can explain to you in real life terms exactly what happened, when it happened, and how it happened, and why it was so unpredictable.
Thank you, Governor. And as the Lieutenant Governor alluded to, I was out on the river trail this morning, which is, again, at water level of the Guadalupe. I was out there about 3:30 this morning doing a jog. I left there probably about 4 o'clock. There was very light rain, no signs of the river. I come from the Houston area, so very used to hurricanes, very used to flooding. We kind of monitored that, checked some different areas. We did not see any signs of the river rising at that time. I started getting phone calls probably about 5 o'clock. We went, the fire chief Maloney and I went back out to Louise Hayes Park. Up on the top section, we did have National EMR, and we already had a lot of our emergency plan ready for the 4th of July event, which is at the river level. By the time we got to the National EMR truck, we could not get it out, and we almost got stuck on the top level. So there's a pavilion down in Louise Hayes Park. Within an hour and a half, it had already risen well over 20, 25 feet. So we were monitoring that as much as we possibly could.
After the 1987 flood, there were some flood alarms installed along the river. Are those still working? Any reason why they wouldn't be?
A lot of the times, I think, and again, I'm relatively new here, there's alarms typically in Comfort or further downstream. When you look at the headwaters of the Guadalupe, which we are at the headwaters of the Guadalupe, there's a north and a south fork. And so we'll say since 1987, under normal conditions, if you call it that, you'll hit water in one of those areas. And those two forks will converge into the Guadalupe, which comes through the city of Kerrville. This rain event sat on top of that and dumped more rain than what was forecasted on both of those forks. When we got the report, it was about 7 feet or so on the South Fork, and within a matter of minutes, it was up to 29 feet, and all of that converged at the Guadalupe, and that's where we saw those very quick rise in flood. So there's not alarms everywhere on the river. No, sir.
Sheriff, you said there were 23 deaths, 24?
No, 24, right?
24, and if that's the entire river, that's just this county?
That's just this county, in the county. We do have a report from one fatality.
Not the best connection.
This is like came on very fast. I spoke with some flood victims in Ingram who said their home was flooding as rescues were happening down the river. And they asked me, why weren't there evacuation notices at that point? What is the process like to get an evacuation notice? What's the threshold to send out an alert to people to get out of their homes?
So just like anything with evacuations is very difficult, right? There's a balance between, do you evacuate and then put chaos onto the road and potentially risk people getting stuck on a road? This is the hill country. For those that haven't been here, there are hills. There's a lot of low water crossings. And if you spark an evacuation at the wrong time or create an evacuation, you could go into a mass panic, get people on the road, which could be even more deadly by having vehicles swept away. So there's a very fine balance between sheltering in place, getting to the high grounds. A lot of our operations plans, especially with these camps, that is the plan, is sometimes shelter in place, get them to those known high grounds, and then wait for rescue. Again, when this came in, people are sleeping. Even if you were able to try to get notification, that evacuation period is a very delicate balance.
Can you guys confirm if game wardens did go into Camp Mystic and pull kids and staff out of there?
Come on.
Yes, so starting early this morning, we had about 107 game wardens along with our aviation group trying to make access into the camp. Shortly after midday, we breached over into the camp and were able to start removing children from the camp from there.
Is Camp Mystic the only camp that's under this sort of duress? I've got reports of other camps that seem to be evacuated okay, or is that the only one that we're really working on right now?
Yes. That's the only one is Camp Mystic. All the other camps, we've accounted for everybody and everything's fine. Camp Mystic's where we had all our trouble.
Also River Inn, which is just, west of that area.
Yeah, I mean, I have no reports of any problems at River Inn. It's just Camp Mystic at this time.
What are the hardest hit areas from what you can tell as far as where the fatalities or the currently no missing person reports are coming from? And how far is your search area extending right now from where upstream to where downstream?
We're working anywhere from about 30 miles west of Kerrville on the Guadalupe River at this time. But that out west, on our east side, we didn't have any problems. Everything is pretty much west of Kerrville. All our issues are from this flooding.
And as far as where the hardest hit areas were along Guadalupe?
Yes, we're about 30 miles from.
I just meant were there particular properties or campgrounds where you're seeing the most damage, the most loss of life, or missing people?
Anything close to the rivers where we're seeing property damage and missing people.
To add on to that, when you look at the 100-year flood map, we're trying to get as much comparison as we can. While we don't know if it's the exact 100-year floodplain map, it is darn close, and so that shows a lot of stuff when you look at that. So anything along the forks, anything along, camping, cabins, RV parks, even some things that were kind of on the higher end RV parks were, again, the massive amount of water that came in, we're just moving those vehicles out of those areas.
And there's been a lot of talk about how this was not foreseen. Lieutenant Governor, you had mentioned in your press conference earlier today that the regional director has contacted local officials to let them know about the possibility of flooding, but we're now hearing we didn't know what was going to happen. So what was the warning or conversation that happened?
Yeah, is Jay Hall?
Yeah, Governor, I'll take that. So the State Emergency Operations Center started having daily briefings yesterday on the potential for flood for all of this part of Texas, from here out to San Angelo and Abilene and further out. We have been in contact with local officials, and at some point in time in the future, we're happy to share those emails and contact information of what we had shared. But listen, everybody got the forecast from the National Weather Service, right? You all got it. You're all in media. You got that forecast. It did not predict the amount of rain that we saw.
And what was the severity that you were warning about that time?
Well, yes, sir.
What were you warning might happen in terms of flood?
So using the National Weather Service data, which we were all looking at, they were warning 3 to 6 inches of rain. However, some of those models showed numbers that were higher than that, which caused us to activate additional resources and have them in the area just in case. And those were put immediately into use as soon as the rain fell and the 911 calls started coming in. They were already here.
What kind of resources were they swift fast boats, or what was deployed prior to?
Yes, sir. Great question. It was Texas A&M Task Force 1 Swiftwater rescue teams, as well as military high-profile vehicles, and the aircrafts were close in theater, but not directly in theater. Those Swiftwater boat teams are professionals from San Antonio and Austin and the surrounding area that, as the general said, train for this kind of mission every day.
Forgive my simplified here. The city manager said about 3 o'clock in the morning when it was still dry. At what point from that, what was the timeline when those resources were right?
They got here at noon yesterday.
But they immediately.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, to the point where one of the response vehicles got washed away. That's how fast they got caught up in it. They were in the middle of it. They were ready to go.
Was there any injuries?
Not to that group, no, sir.
Perhaps you didn't talk about the nature of the camps. Are you getting updates from people because it's they're from all over. Some of the kids we've had missing are from Austin and San Antonio and Beaumont. What was your phone going like for you when you were out of the area? I know that.
It's blown up. The fact of the matter is, calls were coming in first, from my team in the governor's office, Chief Kidd, the other leaders, where we collaborate on this all the time. But over the course of the early morning hours, the stories started coming in from people that we know well. This is an area that we've been coming to for close to 20 years, and we know the camp and the camps down here quite well, and we have a lot of friends involved in this. And so there were a lot of my fellow Texans who have great concern about everything that's happened here, and that spurred us into action to make sure that we were going to turn over every stone to make sure every Texan, there may be people here not from Texas, everybody here is going to be accounted for as quickly as possible.
As much as you can talk about it, can you talk about the timeline, what locals can expect, and again, where they can get the resources if they're concerned about missing people? Is there a website specifically that they can go to for resources, and what we should expect as far as updates?
Hey, can you rephrase that question for me? I want to make sure I understand it.
Can you give any sense of the time, as best you can, a sense of the timeline of what the general public and press should be able to expect going forward, what your priorities are, and then specifically for the local community that's missing members, where they can go for resources?
Yes, sir. I'll speak in support of our local partners here. Our search and rescue teams are here and will continue to be here and stay around the clock. We are not leaving this community until the last person is found. That's number one. Additional volunteer resources will be managed by our local partners at the city for volunteer and donations, and they can give you those websites to put out in a little while, in a little bit. I think another part of your question was about timeline. Disaster.texas.gov is a live website right now. If your home or your business has been impacted, you can start reporting the damages there. But damage reporting is my second priority. Life safety and search and rescue is my first priority. We'll focus on this whenever we get done with the search and rescue piece. But the more that you can send people to this website now, if they're in a safe place to report their damages, will help us in the future.
Can you confirm whether all of the kids that have been accounted for have been reunited with their parents at this point?
No, I cannot confirm that at this time if they've all been back with their parents, no.
Is there concern about the possibility for weather or rain coming and how that affects our operations?
So the short answer to that is yes, we are still concerned about the weather. Any additional rain in this part right now can cause additional issues of flash flooding. And so this is where I really need all of your help. Tell the people that don't live here and don't have family here and don't have family that are missing not to come here. Do not come in this area and start looking around. We had people that were blocking bridges today, emergency response vehicles trying to get out and do rescues. So if you don't live in this area and you're not
So
you
more
do have
dead.
someone that is missing, the city will be putting information out, and we want you to report that back in. So I want to add on to your question, because it's a great question. The sheriff gave a great answer. But there's, Sheriff, remind me, how many camps along the river have we been in contact with today?
About 18.
About 18 different camps. The far majority of those camps have their campers and have already contacted their families and working to reunite those campers and those families together outside of any assistance from the local or the state government. We are focused on the ones that cannot help themselves right now, and that is our primary area of concern.
Say again?
Do you trust what the National Weather Service?
Listen, it's not a matter of trusting or not. Listen, ever since I've been governor, we've had weather events that were completely unpredictable, and that's just a part of nature.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
That was quick.
All right, the latest update from the governor, as well as we heard from Lieutenant Governor. A lot of different officials at the state level as well as locally there in Kerrville, and it really seemed to be the overarching message of no resources being spared in the effort to find every single person who still remains unaccounted for, every single person missing. They really just talked about all of the resources being poured into this area to make sure that families get their questions answered about where their loved ones are. We know that 25 people at this point have been confirmed dead. One of those fatalities was in Kendall County. We did hear from the Kerr County Sheriff there say that they can't confirm at this point if that death in Kendall County is specifically related to what happened in the greater Kerrville Hill Country area. But that is an increase from what we heard at 3:30. Where at that time, 13 people had been reported dead. We did not know, out of that 25, that latest update tonight, just a few minutes ago, we do not know how many of those are adults. We do not know how many of those are children, but we did hear from the sheriff that he cannot confirm that all of the kids unaccounted for have been reunified with their families at this point.
The other thing that really stuck out to me during that news conference is that it's a question that we've had throughout the day. It's very important that leaders and that we all know exactly how many people are missing. Unfortunately, even at this hour, I mean, we're talking 19 hours after this, essentially. They still don't have an estimate on the number of people who are missing or unaccounted for, which obviously makes things a lot more difficult. The other thing that the Texas National Guard said was that it rescued or evacuated 237 people, 167 of them by helicopter. And, you know, when you were looking along that table, that wide shot, all of the people who were there giving us an update, these are all people who right now are involved in this search and rescue effort.
So I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, they're rescuing, but they were talking about the flood, the devices. Did that work? Did it not? I guess the detection, flood detection. I guess it seemed it didn't. Those kids are still missing, and they haven't even confirmed the kids that are rescued that they've gotten in contact with their parents. So a whole mess. What a mess. Wow. Crazy. All right, guys. Well, I guess I'm going to get off for now, man. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I hope you guys have a happy 4th. We've got to definitely stay up to date with this. Oh, my God. What's this now? Multiple houses on fire? I can't with y'all, man. What? Oh, my God. Multiple houses on fire, Alameda. Oh, God. Oh, something else happening now. Seven minutes ago, choppers above Alameda. What happened now? What is this? Another quote unquote firework? Manufacturing accident. What? Look at this. Multiple houses on fire. Mamma mia. Smoldering. I guess, I don't know if they have it under control, but right by the water too. Thanks, Lynn. It's California, Alameda. Well, I'm gonna get off. Alameda. I'm tired. I'm gonna go sit outside for a little bit, enjoy the fireworks. Can't take it. All these fires, explosions. What is going on, man? It's too much. How are all these houses blowing up? Oh, some of these people might just be blowing their own shit up on purpose. I don't know. Trying to get an insurance claim or trying to, I don't know, take out their significant other. What is going on? All these fires. Hey, McGinnis, how you doing, man? Happy 4th, USA, from down under. Thanks, man. Hope you're doing good. From down under, mate. Look at that. What a mess. Still some fires on top. All right, I'm gonna go check out the craziness outside for a little bit. I will catch you guys around. If something pops off, I'll come back later, if anything. But I'm gonna go relax for a bit. All right, guys, take care. Bye. Bloop. See you soon. Happy 4th, CND boy.